I started collecting odd bits of railway honour about 1960 and collected gradually over a number of years, not very much, just a few bits and pieces. And then in 1980, by which time I was living up in East Suffolk, I got seriously interested in the railway in that area. We had a farmhouse that was about 150 yards from the East Suffolk line, and I became friendly with some of the railway men in that area, one of whom in particular was himself a railway historian and collector. And I realised that the railway was changing irrevocably. There was a lot of interesting historical stuff still around on the railways at that time in use. And so we started collecting initially items of signalling interest, block instruments and this sort of thing, particularly from that area. And then of course also stations, signs and bits and pieces of equipment. Until eventually we had the opportunity of buying the station building from Brampton on the East Suffolk line. And by this time we'd moved down to Essex again, and Brampton Station came down here to Essex and was set up in our garden with the collection of railway memorabilia inside it. And a number of people started to say to me, well, this is all very interesting, why don't you open it to the public? And eventually the sort of drip, drip, drip effect of this got me to think seriously about this. Then we found that we had on this farm a large farm building which was redundant for farm use, and it seemed that perhaps, just as a possibility, we could actually set up a museum in that building, just a museum, static museum of small exhibits, plus of course a station building. And that was the start of it. We had an agricultural contractor who came down here to do some fertiliser spreading on the farm, and he was very impressed with what we'd done with the Brampton station and suggested that we ought to have his village station, which turned out to be the station from Horham on the former Mid-Suffolk Light Railway. The building was very derelict, still in its original position on a platform in the middle of nowhere in North Suffolk. But we were able to get that building and bring it down here in one piece and restore it. And then another agricultural contact, an agricultural sales rep from that area, came down, saw what we'd done with the Horham station. Oh, he said, I wonder you didn't have the Laxfield one. So my immediate reply was, well, it's not there anymore, because I've been to find out many times. Oh, I know it's not, he said. It's not at Laxfield. He said, it's right opposite my house. Well, his house was at Bedfield, which is, I think, 10 miles from Laxfield, and it was serving as a football club pavilion there at Bedfield. He had a contact in the local football club, and we made contact with him, and with a bit of negotiation and at least one change of football club secretaries, we eventually bought the Laxfield one. We have the small exhibits collection, which started with a steam locomotive gauge glass frame obtained back in 1960 and has since grown to several thousand individual items of small exhibits. They range from a very large collection of signalling equipment, which I think is one of the most comprehensive collections on public display in this country, both actual signals, signal lever frames, block instruments, single line staffs and tablets, just about anything you like to mention to do with signalling. We've got a lot of that. A lot of general items from railways all over the United Kingdom, but with a particular natural bias to East Anglia, got a lot of Great Eastern, Midland, Great Northern, London, Tilbury and Southend and so forth, and their successors, of course. But we do go further afield than that. We have items, as I say, from all over the United Kingdom. We've also recently built a special display of French and Canadian railway memorabilia. Why French and Canadian? Well, simply because they happen to be my wife and my favourite holiday destinations, and inevitably that has tended to mean that we've picked up bits and pieces of railway memorabilia from both those countries. So that's our international collection, if you like, and is incidentally housed in a genuine French ferry van. So that's the small exhibits collection. I mean, there is a lot of it, and really so many items that I just can't name them all individually. We've also got 3 signal boxes here, which are Haddiscoe Junction, which was the signal box which some people will remember used to grace the Science Museum in South Kensington in the 30-odd years after it became redundant on BR. We have Burney Arms, a little signal box also from not far from Haddiscoe Junction on the Norfolk Broads. And we have Spellbrook signal box, which was one of the last traditional wooden signal boxes still in operation on Network Rail. And that's here still under the restoration. We have approximately 1 mile of running line, and of course a substantial area of sidings, which accommodates a great deal of rolling stock. We've got, I think, 6 steam locomotives in various degrees of restoration or of repair after their 10-year boiler certificates expired. We've got 1 that is currently operational, which is a little Bagnall 040 saddle tank. We have a similar number of diesel locomotives, all except 2 of which are ex-British Railways Class 03s or 04s. Though we also have a 1945 Army Drury 040 and a Hudswell Clark 040 of 1959. So quite an interesting collection of diesel locomotives, most of which are in regular running service. Well, we operate as a volunteer-operated setup. It's rather unusual. I mean, most preserved railways are societies or trusts or something of that kind. We're not quite that. It's a privately owned museum, but we operate with the assistance of an assortment of volunteers there's no organisation as such, there's no society or club or anything like that. It is just a group of friends. And we have over the years had quite a large number of people who have passed through here. Some indeed have been with us right from the beginning and are still helping us. We've been very proud of the fact that we were working out only the other day that over the time that we've been doing this, we've had quite a lot of young people come on, about 15 of whom have actually passed on to the mainline railway as full-time employees, due to having started off working here at Mangapps. And that's still carrying on. We've got young chaps here who are still at school who intend to start careers with the mainline railway. So I think we've done our bit there for the long term for the mainline railways. wife and I are getting to a certain age now where we feel we ought to be able to devote a bit more time to what we enjoy, and farming, as I'm sure you'll realise from the press reports over the last few years, has become something of a bed of nails for everybody involved with it. So we felt that that was probably the time to bail out of serious farming, and so we are, strangely enough and quite unexpectedly now, entirely railway men.